I, 40 female, allowed my stepdaughter, 24, to take over payments on my second vehicle. She missed a couple of payments, so I paid the loan off so as to not affect my credit. She still owes me $2,500 on the original $8K agreement, and she is currently 3 months behind, although she gave me $1,000 2 weeks ago. She recently bought herself a new car, but she said she still wanted mine. The title and insurance are still in my name, and I do not make her pay for the insurance, even though I added her to my policy. I just found out that she let her mother keep my car. Her mother and I have been cordial through the years, but she never liked me. In fact, she once referred to me as a B with 5 kids. I told my stepdaughter that I do not want her mother or anyone else driving the car as long as it's in my name, because I'm still legally responsible for that vehicle. If she's not going to drive it, it needs to be parked. She told me she didn't think she needed permission since she's buying the car. She said she's paying off the car immediately so she can be done with me. I only agreed to sell her the car because she was struggling, but now I'm the evil stepmother? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole for not wanting an unauthorized person driving your car. Once it is paid off, definitely cut the insurance since you will be transferring titles. Not the a-hole. In fact, I think you've been quite generous. She can do whatever she wants with the car once it's paid off and in her name. Until then, it's still your vehicle and she needs to respect your wishes. Not the a-hole. You own the insurance on it and she's putting an uninsured driver in the driver's seat. She was also behind on payments, and she bought another car instead of making the payment she already owed? You tried to help out someone you thought was struggling, and they're putting you in a position where your credit and insurance can get damaged. She wants to be done with you. To be honest, I'd cancel any insurance policy immediately and tell her to get her own since she's going to be putting uninsured drivers in there. Me, 47 female, and my ex-husband Carlos were together for 16 years. He had a son before our marriage, Dylan, 24 male. We had 3 children, 17 female, and 15 male together. Carlos has always shared custody with his ex regarding Dylan, and both have been very active in his life. Obviously, I never treated Dylan badly, and I helped and raised him like he was my son too, but I always respected the boundary that I was just the stepmother. We have a great relationship. It is worth mentioning that 5 years ago, he had an accident and broke his femur, so his legs are different in size and he feels pain because of that, 5 centimeters. When we separated and signed the divorce 3 years ago, not 2 days later, my father passed away and I received a huge inheritance. This was something that Carlos freaked out, as he claimed that he would also be entitled to it. This created a lot of fighting, and obviously I didn't give anything. But I bought a new house and I left a fund for our 3 kids for college. What was left I saved for my retirement. I didn't leave anything to Dylan about college because the parents already had, and when I asked, he said he didn't need it. Having said all that, I learned these weeks that Dylan had finally been called in for surgery to put prosthesis on his leg and would have to pay some costs that converted to dollars would be around $15K. This amount is gigantic in my country. Yesterday, Carlos came to drop off our kids at home, and I was surprised that Dylan was with him. He said that his job was very complicated, autonomous, and that he and his ex would not be able to pay for the surgery. Talk comes and talk goes. He asked if I could pay. Remembered that I had offered years ago to help Dylan and that if he still didn't want to, lend to them. Keep in mind that this $15K constitutes 50% of one of my children's funds, and the money for my retirement I can't touch. I said I'm sorry, but it was too high a value, and that I could help with $2K, but $15K, no, and that I offered 3 years ago to help and he refused, so I made other plans with that money. Dylan and Carlos got mad, more Carlos, started screaming, and I got pissed off, taking my offer of help and kicking them out of my house. Since then, I've been getting messages from everyone. My family, his family, ex's family, saying that I can help even more because it's something health, and that Dylan felt so much pain that it was inhuman to turn my back on someone I helped to raise, that I have $90K saved for my children. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Anyone who calls you, ask them how much they donated for his surgery. No one is entitled to your money but you. Not the a-hole. Dylan has a mother and father, and none of them are entitled to your money. You made an offer of money previously which was not accepted, and that money has now been allocated elsewhere. You offered a contribution, and this was obviously not acceptable. They could have taken this towards the procedure, but didn't graciously accept, but demanded more. You have no responsibility in this scenario. Not the a-hole. I bet Dylan must have known 3 years ago that this surgery would come one day, and that he would need money to pay for it. It wasn't smart of him to deny your offer at the time. Now he's come back asking for money after all, but that money has already gone elsewhere. You offered to give him what you could still miss, $2K, which, let's be honest, it's still quite a big deal of money. Now, he and his dad are being seriously ungrateful and immature, by not accepting that money and thanking you from the depth of their hearts, but actually getting angry at you for not giving more. The opportunity for more simply passed when he said he didn't want it. Now you've assigned that money elsewhere, and that's your good, right? It's your money. Hell, you're not even responsible for Dylan, so you're being really generous by offering $2K to pay for his surgery. No one other than yourself is entitled to your money. I wonder how much the people harassing you about it have donated to him. I have a 21-year-old stepdaughter who I've been in the life of since she was 2 years old, when I began to date her father, and when she was 5, I became her stepmother. My husband and his ex-wife live in the same town, so my stepdaughter would always alternate houses every week, and despite her being an adult now, we're still close. She is marrying her boyfriend of 5 years in May. I know for a fact that they can't afford to get her dream dress, as she's talked to me about it. I have a good job, and I love her like she's my own daughter, so I told her I'd buy her whatever dress she wanted as my wedding gift to her. My husband was there when I made the offer, and had no problem with it, so that isn't a concern. The issue, however, came up when her mother found out. She came around demanding to know where I got off offering to buy her daughter a wedding dress, and that I had no right to do this, and what if she wanted to buy the dress? I did feel bad about this and suggested we each pay half of the dress, but she isn't happy with this, and said she can't afford the kind of dress I could, and now I've gotten my stepdaughter's hopes up for any dress she wants. I suggested that she just pay whatever she is comfortable paying, and I'd cover the rest, and she can just assume her mother and I went half on it. But this was also shot down. My husband asked her what exactly she expected then, and she thinks I should withdraw the offer entirely. But I don't know how else I can make this right. My husband ended up kicking his ex-wife out of our house and calling her unreasonable, and that she should remember this isn't about her, but I feel guilty over upsetting her. I didn't think it was out of line to offer this, as I've been part of my stepdaughter's life for 19 years. Was I out of line with this? I am worried this could cause drama on the day. Not the a-hole. Your stepdaughter's mom is making this about her personal insecurities, instead of about what's best for her daughter. Shame on her. If there's any drama on the day of, it's all on her. You haven't done anything wrong. Her mother could have thanked OP for offering to do this. She needs to put her pride aside and appreciate the gesture and the happy look on her daughter's face. She is the mother and always will be. She'll have the picture moments, etc. It's sad that she made it about her and not her daughter. Try to have someone else she's not defensive with talk to her, the mom, and get her to see the light before she ruins all the good memories and the wedding itself. Talk to the daughter and tell her that her mom just wanted to provide the dress and is hurt that she can't afford to buy the costly ones. Her anger is disappointment. Do your best to keep the drama down so the wedding's not drama city. Email the mom if you have to, and try and calmly explain that you're not trying to upstage her, but instead make her daughter happy. Not the a-hole. What an incredibly generous gift. Despite what your husband's ex clearly thinks, you are one of the parents of the bride. Maybe she can pay for the flowers or something different. Don't let her talk you out of it, though. She'd rather her daughter go without versus you paying for it, which is incredibly selfish. Your husband is right. This is supposed to be about your daughter, and not her. My wife and I have been married for 6 years. We have careers, and we both bring in a lot of money. I'm telling you this because I want to make it abundantly clear that money isn't the problem here. My brother-in-law is a great guy, but he's had his fair share of hardship. He had a crappy upbringing riddled with intense emotional aggression from his various stepmothers, and not fitting in with school. He got into smoking and alcohol at a young age. He keeps getting arrested for petty things, and the fines are piling up. Her parents originally funded this lifestyle, but have since cut him off because they couldn't financially handle it anymore. We all thought he might finally learn not to get into trouble, and would get his life together a little bit. I also feel like it's relevant to mention he's 8 years older than her. She's been giving him roughly $1,000 every month for the past 6 months. I knew he had to come ask her for money a while ago, but she told me she wouldn't give him any money. It's also relevant to note that my wife has mental health problems. She feels worthless and unworthy of love if she isn't providing constantly for the people around her. She's been in therapy for 2 years, and I thought she had been making progress. She is very sensitive and easily manipulated. I called him and basically blew up at him for exploiting his little sister, knowing about her mental health and insecurities. He blew up back, saying that he needs the money because he's in a financial rut. I told him he wouldn't be in a rut if he screwed his head on straight, and to stop asking her for money because we all know he won't pay her back. I also told him it isn't her responsibility to pick up his messes for him, and that he should be ashamed of himself for using the money she gave him on alcohol when he swore up and down it was for rent and car payments. It infuriates me that her kindness was taken advantage of, and I don't regret saying what I said to her brother. But her entire family is furious with me and urging her to reconsider her relationship with me because I was insensitive. They're also upset with me for trying to be a wedge between her and her family, which is absolutely not my intention, but I see how it could be taken that way. Finally, the thing they're most angry about is me getting involved with their family. She is going to meet with her brother to discuss more options to help him in alternative ways. I suggested rehab, and that I would even finance it myself to show that I do genuinely care about him and his needs too. I just care about my wife more. However, their claims are getting to me. I don't feel bad for yelling at her brother, but should I? Not the a-hole. Brother-in-law needs money, he can get a job. Your wife lied about giving him money, plus $1,000 a month for 6 months. That's ducking excessive. If their family is so concerned for brother-in-law, maybe they should pay him, but it isn't your wife's job to do so. Not the a-hole. Your brother-in-law knows that your wife is an easy mark and is absolutely exploiting her. I get where people are saying you should have spoken with your wife, but it sounds like she was raised in a family of enablers and needs to continue working on her normal meter before she's going to have the tools to stand up for herself. Good on you for having her back. Suggestion for the brother. Convo to see if he's operating in any kind of good faith. Instead of just handing him $1,000 in cash every month, offer something specific that you can pay for directly. Rehab is good. Also, a one-time debt payoff or tuition to a trade program. If he turns something like that down, the cash spigot should be turned off. Everyone sucks here. Giving $1,000 a month to family should be a discussion between the couple. But you are treating your wife like an incapable child by reaching out to the brother instead of talking to her. My dad recently passed away at 96. While he was the most important person in my life, at times our relationship was strained and worsened after he remarried after my mom died 30 years ago. I've never gotten along with my stepmom, who's 20+ years younger than Dad. My 2 brothers, whom I'm not close to, get along with her better and don't live nearby like me. My dad had a turn in his health 2 years ago and was in palliative care at home. Thankfully, he rallied and in relatively good health up until a few days before dying. My stepmother had a number of caregivers who came in several days, weeks, and stayed overnight with him. For about a year, I spent up to 6 days with him, on my own, every 4 to 5 weeks, to give her a respite, time away. Last August, after a major disagreement with my stepmother, she limited my time with him to being supervised by a caregiver while visiting for a few hours once a week. My stepmother would give each of the caregivers a gift amounting to the monthly care costs in recognition of the care they provided my dad, and support for her. I think this is a nice idea. My dad didn't make such provisions in his will, but she thinks the gift should come out of his estate if my brothers, one is a lawyer and co-executor with her, and I agree to splitting 4 ways. My brother agrees. However, I have an issue in part because the costs of his care increased after I was no longer allowed to help care for him, which had cut down the costs. Also, my dad paid for all the household costs, his care, and paid her a monthly allowance. She has a substantial investment portfolio from her divorce settlement and will inherit the majority of his estate, based on a set amount with anything left over going to my brothers and me. My feelings about this are further exasperated by the fact that she didn't tell me his health was worsening until the day before he died. I hadn't seen him for several months due to virus. When I told her I wanted to see him, she replied I could have a short visit. I was shocked when I saw him and was only able to spend about 10 minutes alone with him before he died less than an hour after I arrived. Also, my dad had asked me to write his obituary. Writing is part of my profession. She was aware of this, but when after he died, I said I would take care of doing so. She said he had wanted to write his own obituary and did so. However, the day he died, I saw a draft in his office in her handwriting that she had obviously started writing on her own when she knew his death was imminent. It was missing key details that he would have known if he had written it. I think she should pay for the gift from her own bank account, not their joint account. It's not as much about the amount, but more the principle. I'm concerned she is going to take retaliatory actions in the future if I don't agree to split the cost of the gift, and it will cause a rift with my brothers. Not the a-hole. She wants to give a gift? Let her pay for it. You are getting leftovers of the estate while she gets the bulk. No a-holes. It would be kind to help contribute, especially if your brothers agree. But it was her idea, and she has the financial stability to do it, so I think you're in the clear if you don't want to contribute. Not the a-hole. While perhaps, mind you, it isn't necessary, and if she wants to give a gift from what by the sound of it is a substantial chunk of the estate, she can pay for it herself.